Good day, everyone, and welcome to Different Stages Radio. I'm your host, JJ, broadcasting in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And my guest today, you know him from the Dead Daisies, Mötley Crüe, Rat, Union, The Scream. He will also be releasing his debut solo album, New Day, on April the 24th on Frontiers Music. Please welcome back to Different Stages Radio, John Corabi. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, sir. Very good.
Your background
Just,
look, yes.
just admiring your record collection.
Thank you very much. But just noticing that your background looks a bit different than the last time we chatted. You were hanging out on your bus.
Yes.
Yes.
Right now, my bus is in the shop. I'm going to go pick that up this week. And I'm actually sitting in my wife is a hairdresser, cuts hair. And we have a hair salon in my house. So I'm just sitting in here because it's too cold to sit outside. It's very cold today here in Nashville. It was actually snowing earlier, which, as I said earlier, it was just crazy because yesterday it was 76 degrees and sunny, and it's snowing today. It's like, what?
Well, hopefully tomorrow is a new day.
Yes, I like what you did there, my friend. I like what you did.
Hopefully tomorrow is a new day. Now, I'd like to dive right into this album because I'm so happy for you that I feel this is long time coming, probably at the perfect time for you. This just seems to be from the opening cut, hearing New Day, and now having a chance to dive into the whole album. Very happy for you. How does this all feel so far?
I gotta be honest with you, dude. Like, this might be uh, the most effortless record I've ever done in my life. Um, it, without sounding weird, like everything about this record is just lining up. I've always said you can be talented, you can write great songs and all this other, but there's a huge part of the recipe that nobody talks about, and that's luck. And things just have to line up. And just the way this is working out and lining up, just every part of this thing, from actually signing the record deal to right now doing interviews, everything has lined up beautifully. So I don't know if this is the universe's way of telling me that, hey, dude, I think you did a good record, so we're going to help you out this time and, you know, get you up over the hump so you become more of a household name. You know what I mean? But I feel really, really positive about this record. It's just been amazing.
Well, it's very personal feeling. I find it's very retrospective and self exploratory. Like it's just it feels very cozy at times. I feel like this would be just a great road trip album. Also at the same time, great like going camping album. It's just I feel like I'm hanging out with my buddy.
Yeah, and again, it was like even putting the songs together was just I can't explain it again. It was just so effortless. You know what I mean? And it was just again just how it all worked out, and some of the people and my friends that I got involved in the record. It was just this random. Hey, hey, here's a little universe dangling a carrot in
Yep.
front of me, and it just worked. So the songs pretty much almost wrote themselves, and then it was just like, let me call this guy and see if he'd even remotely, you know. And like Charlie Starr, for example, I don't know if you read
Yep.
have you heard the whole record?
Oh yes, yes. Very
Yeah.
pleased. Yeah.
So, it was funny. We were doing this thing. Marty and I wrote the song Faith, Hope, and Love. And just on a fluke, I had met Charlie back in New York. And I sat and talked with him and Britt, who unfortunately passed away a few years back. But, we were just sitting there bullshitting. And I kind of, I friended Charlie on socials. And so I was sitting there, I'm like, God, I love his playing. And I was telling Marty, I said, you know, it'd be great on this. I go, I bet you Charlie Starr would just kill this, like guitar wise. Well, give him a call. So I just sent Charlie a message and I said, hey, dude, like, you know, I would love to have you play on my solo record. What do you charge for a session? So he goes, let me hear the song. So I sent him the tune, and like 7 minutes later, he called me back or texted me back. He goes, dude, I love this fucking song. I'd be honored. Let me. So I sent him the track. So while he's working on that, about a week later, uh, I get a little ping on my phone, and it's Charlie. And he sent me a phone recording of just him sitting around with an acoustic guitar. And he goes, hey, he sent me a message. Hey, man, I was thinking about you last night and I wrote this idea. It's, you know, rough idea, whatever. And I think we should write a song together. So I go, so I listen to it, and it's him on acoustic, nothing else. And he's just scatting like a melody into the phone. And he had the line, looking in my rearview mirror, watch it all fade away. And then he had the chorus idea, I don't need that memory anymore. And I go, fuck, this is great. Played it for my wife, played it for Marty the next day. We changed the key to suit my voice, finished the song. I wrote lyrics for it, sang it, sent it back to Charlie like 2 days later, 3 days later. And he was like, dude, like, seriously, this is killer. So, and then he sent me the track with the guitar solo on it. And, you know, so it was like really kind of like this weird, organic, effortless process. And I just can't explain it, but I don't know if I'm manifesting good things or, but I just sit there and I go, I firmly believe that this might be the best record that I've ever done. And like my wife was kidding with me yesterday, and a couple friends, and my wife and her girlfriend, Kim, they're like, okay, just let us know when we need to go get our Grammy outfits. So I'm like, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed, bro. I really feel positive about this record.
As you should, because once again, I feel that the timing is perfect. And I'm not even knowing if you know that how important this album was going to be to you. It's not just, oh, you're doing an album. It's just like you're talking the timing and all the way the pieces are falling into place. And for those who don't know who you're referencing to, they're Charlie Starr from Blackberry Smoke and Marti Frederiksen. How instrumental was Marty in the process of making the record?
Listen, I've done several records now with Marty, and again, I've known Marty, God, since 1990. He was in a band called Outlaw Blood that opened for the Scream, and I've just kind of quietly watched Marty's career blossom from, you know, I mean, he's a great musician, but I just watched him become this amazing producer and songwriter. And like, so I got Marty, I turned Marty, or the Dead Daisies, I turned David Edwards onto Marty for the Make Some Noise record. We did the Burn It Down record, Light 'Em Up, the Blues album. Um, and personally, I love working with Marty. He knows how my brain works. And, you know, and he gets the best out of me. And so I love working with him. So he was the natural call to make for me. And I said, listen, man, Frontiers offered me a record deal. It's not a lot of money, but would you help me do this record? He goes, absolutely, dude. Let's go. Again, I was on tour with the Daisies. Again, how this organically just started working. And so I signed the deal, and we were finishing up the tour, and all of a sudden the manager for the Daisies goes, hey, I think we're going to take a year off, man. We've been going pretty hard since 2013. Again, awesome. I can do my record and I can go tour next year and support. And Marty and I just got right to work. And like I had a couple of the ideas already kind of formulated, but Marty and I got to work and we sat down and wrote like 7 or 8 of these songs in no time flat, and it just went right in and finished the record. And I turned it in, I think, October of last year, you know. So the label's pleased, I'm pleased. And again, it was just like this easy, uh, effortless process. I can't say it enough, man. It was just awesome.
And can you say a few words about who's also playing in your band but is on the album? Paul Taylor. How awesome is Paul?
You know what's funny, dude? Paul, I love Paul. I've gotten to know him much better now. You know what I mean? But like a majority of the stuff, like I played most of the guitars. Marty would play bass. Marty might play some guitar on some stuff. Evan, his son, played drums. He even played some guitar keys. Like we were just whoever plays the part best. So we were laying stuff down, and but Marty wanted some like a real keyboard player to attack some of these ideas. And so I just called Paul Taylor and I asked him to come in, and then he played on the tracks, but then he was like, "Hey, can I hear some more of the record?" So we just played him everything. And again, he goes, "Hey, dude, well, I'm not doing much touring anymore with Wingers, so if you need a keyboard player, guitar player, vocalist guy, like," I go, "Well, actually, I do." So he not only played on the record, but he's actually part of my touring band. And that's another pinch me thing, whatever. But Paul's funny, man. He's just so low key and chill. He's always seems like he's always happy. And, and I got a buddy that I can have a cocktail with at night, because like normally I get a bottle of whiskey on my rider, and like Paul grab it, he puts it in his bag, and then we're heading back to the hotel. Like we just did 3 weeks in Europe, and Paul's in the van. He pulls the bottle out. He goes, "Band meeting, lobby." So I got somebody that I can hang out and have a cocktail with.
Yeah, he seems like he's a bit of a Swiss Army knife, though, when it comes to a musician.
Yeah, he's great, and I mean, even his songwriting. He helped Mick finish his solo record, and uh, but even my touring band. It's just a nice group of guys that I've known for a gazillion years. Everybody's chill. Everybody's like, "Yeah, okay, we're gonna go tour in Europe in a van. All right, whatever." And we had a great time, man. It was killer. It was awesome.
Yeah, we'll get into more of that for sure. But I wanted to go back to New Day, and you referenced a song earlier that I wanted to talk about, Faith, Hope, Love, or Faith,
Yeah,
Hope, and Love, which is
yeah.
brilliant. Like, where did that come from?
Honestly, dude.
Another natural moment.
Well, I kind of was putting together. I kind of put together like this blues ish progression, but it was funny. Uh, you sit and you watch the news, and it seems to be the general theme everywhere. You have your liberals, you have your conservatives, and nobody seems to meet in the middle anymore about anything. And I just sat there and I'm like, you just sit and think about the lessons our parents taught us, like, you know, treat others how you would want to be treated yourself. You know what I mean? Be respectful, da da da. And it's like I think we've kind of lost all sense of that. And Faith, Hope, and Love was just me just going, you know what? I don't know what you guys are doing, but this is how I see life. This is how I'm going to treat people. This is how I want to be treated. And, if you want to do it, great. If you don't, go fuck off, whatever. I can, and, it's a harsh statement to make for a song called Faith, Hope, and Love, but it's really kind of true, man. It's really sad to see especially here in America, like you can't even tell anybody who you voted for anymore. And it's like you just get pummeled verbally. And I'm like, well, that's pretty sad. You know what I mean? But whatever. It is what it is. This is just how John Corabi chooses to live his life.
And vent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
that's the beauty about uh that's the beauty about being able to write music is like you can poetically vent how you're feeling and, you know, kind of do it in a somewhat somewhat subtle way, but a direct way at the same time. You know what I mean?
Express yourself for sure. I also wanted to ask you about the track Laurel. That was another standout for me.
Again, I just happened to watch. There's a brilliant documentary online. Um, I think it was on Netflix, and I just happened to see this documentary called Echoes in the Canyon, which talked about this bohemian little group of musicians back in the 60s and early 70s that took up residence in the Laurel Canyon area. And it's funny, my wife, we talk all the time. I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to music, as I can see you are as well. But for example, my wife was just we were riding a motorcycle and I just played the Burn record by Deep Purple. And she heard the song Sail Away. And she goes, "Oh my God, like this is so good. Who is this?" I go, "It's Deep Purple." "Well, who's in the band?" And I'm like, "Well, you remember David Coverdale from Whitesnake? This is David Coverdale before he was in Whitesnake and Deep Purple and Glenn Hughes, the guy to replace me." And blah, 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 blah. So I'm telling her all this stuff, and inevitably I'll get into these geeky little facts about all these different bands that I grew up listening to, and my wife will go, "Oh, shit, I was born 10 years too late." Well, I watched that documentary on Echoes in the Canyon and just some of the stories that Graham Nash was telling, and the guys from the Monkees and all these cats that they interviewed about that era. And I found myself going, fuck, man, I was born 10 years too late. I literally would have been in Laurel Canyon back in the 60s or 70s. And I was just so inspired by that whole way they did things and this kind of bohemian lifestyle that I just sat down. And again, it was another thing that just like as soon as I kind of had the chords, I sat down at my computer and it literally just started writing itself. It was weird. And I've had a few people think it's about a girl, but it's about all of the things that Laurel Canyon has seen over the years. If it could talk, the stories it would tell. Uh, so I just wrote this ode to, you know, 60s, 70s Laurel Canyon. You know what I mean?
Very, very cool. And then another one I wanted to ask you about, because I chose to listen to the album first before reading a bunch of the notes, because I like to go in cold without knowing too much. And then I'm like, hey, I know this song. Love That I'll Never Be. I'm like, what's going on here? How did that make it on the record? But I'm like, and then I go back to Light 'em Up, and that was one of my faves from that record. So it was nice to hear that. And I've also found it fit in really nicely.
Well, and if you go listen to I'll say the original. So
Yeah, yeah,
what you're hearing
full
on
circle.
my record is the original
Yeah, the full
version of it.
circle version. Yeah.
Um, and like I brought it to the band initially, and they were like, "Oh man, this is great, this is great, this is great." But the more we sat with it, we all agreed that it might be a little too polished as a Dead Daisies track. So we kind of sat around, jammed it, reworked it. And if you go back and listen to the Daisies version and then the new version, there's whole sections of the
Oh, yeah.
song that we removed from the song. And I love the Daisies version. It was more Allman Brothers-y. It was just Doug did some great slide work on it. But there was a part of me that was missing the other parts. You know what I mean? And so I just said, you know what? I'm just going to put the original version on here. And in parentheses, I don't know if they did it in the printing. I haven't seen the album artwork yet, but I just put reprise, whatever. And I just wanted to do the original thing because, again, without sounding too emasculated, even my wife was like, I kind of missed that one little part where it says time and time she plays the same old song, don't know what you've got till it's gone, time they say heals everything but not goodbye, whatever. And it's just this little precursor to the chorus. And she goes, it just really kind of tied the lyrics in nicely, and I was like, yeah. So I said to Marty, I go, well, we wrote the song. Let's just put it on the fucking record, the original version. And it's got strings and acoustic guitars. It's much more. This is how I recorded it originally, and we adapted it for the Daisies. So I just said, fuck it, and put the original version on.
And then you also put another track that you've done as well before there. Speak of that.
Well, there's Posse Bella
Yep.
and Your Own Worst Enemy. So
Yep.
those three songs were
Yep.
done.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the record was written for this record, but yeah. Well, and again, like I left the Daisies in 2018, and then I was busier than shit in 19 just doing acoustic shows. And I was still out doing acoustic shows, obviously, in 2020 when COVID hit. But I had started working on, I told Marty I want to do a solo record. And he goes, okay, well, here's what we do. You do like a track while you're working on, put a track out, keep working on the record and doing a second track, third track. And I don't know if I talked to you about this the last time, but during COVID, once COVID hit, I couldn't get together with Marty. So what I did is I took Pro Tools classes online. And what I was doing was I was recording here at my house slowly and painfully, trying to figure it out. But I kind of laid down a lot of the stuff on Bell and myself. I sang it. I had some friends just come over one at a time and just do backing vocals, whatever this guy D.A. Clark goes. And I sent the tracks to Marty to mix, and we put it out. The thing that I was having trouble with, which kind of delayed everything, was the new method of releasing music with the streaming, and then I'm getting advice from people. Well, you got a hashtag. Well, if the song sounds like Queen, you got a hashtag Queen and hashtag Brit Rock. And I'm like, fuck, this is too much. I don't get it. So I did Cossi Bella. It did okay. I did Your Own Worst Enemy. And then I'm like, I got to figure out how this streaming shit, algorithms, hashtags, I don't get it. So I kind of put a hold on it. And then oddly enough, the Daisies are like, hey, dude, you rested? Glenn's going to go back doing his BCC and Deep Purple shows. We'd love to have you come back. And I go, okay. And I went back and I did that. And then, like I said, we did the Best Of tour. Then we did Light 'Em Up. And we did Light 'Em Up and the blues record. And it just kind of worked out to where it's okay. You know what? Fuck it. I'm doing this. I'm doing a solo record this year. I'm done. That's it. Let's put it out. And then I'll let the label figure out how to do the hashtags and algorithms and all that shit. So whatever. Here I be.
Try to focus on the art now. And back to the
Yeah.
art. You talked about it for a moment earlier. You wrapped up a European tour just a little over, a few weeks ago, I guess. You did a nice run in the van, getting to know, I guess, the people that you've known forever, even that much better. How was that to get out there again?
It was great, and again, oddly enough, I wasn't really sure, because and it's everywhere. It's not just Europe; it's America. Like I don't know what's going on, but it's really getting harder to get people to get off their couch and actually go out and see a show anymore. Um, so I wasn't sure. Initially, the record label was going to they had me slotted for a February release. So I got a hold of my agent in Europe and I said, hey, can you just do a little run in February in support of the record? But the more the label actually listened to the record, they go, no, I think we want to promote this really. And they pushed it back to April. So when I went overseas, I was just sitting there going, fuck, like, I don't know how this is going to go over. This is my first tour, really, first tour of Europe as a solo artist. And I don't even have a record out right now. Um, so I was like, so I had kind of I don't want to say I was being pessimistic, but I think I was being realistic about ticket sales and how this is going to play out. But I got to be honest with you, like we actually did really well. Um, and all of the reviews for the shows, even though they were hearing, uh, you know, maybe somewhere between a quarter and half of the set was brand new material, the shows went over great, and all the reviews have been positive. Uh, so I'm very, very pleased about that. I'm again, I couldn't be more grateful to all the guys in my band that did this trek with me, and it was funny. Even guys like Troy Luccketta and Paul
Yeah,
Taylor. We were talking about Paul earlier.
Troy,
They
yeah,
were
get
like,
Troy out. I was very happy to see that.
dude, I love
Yeah,
that guy to
yeah.
death. And it was like they sent me a message when they got home. I actually stayed a couple days longer because I wound up doing a few acoustic shows in Scandinavia and France, and so I stayed an extra week. But they all got home and they sent me messages. They're like, dude, that was so much fucking fun. Like just riding around Europe in a van and you know eating pasta and bread and cheese and drinking wine, and it was awesome. So I truly right now at this stage in my life, I feel very blessed to have that group of guys around me to play live. I have Marty. Well, Marty's doing both. He's playing with me live and in the studio, and I just have a great group of people that are like, come on, Crab, we believe in you. Let's do this. Let's go conquer the world. So I couldn't be happier.
You got your fellow Daisies mate there, Michael Devin, with you as well.
Yes, Mike. Well, and again, like Michael was in the process. So let me back up.
Okay.
I was talking to you earlier about how effortless everything was. So this whole thing played out, putting the live band together. Like I said earlier, Paul Taylor came in, played some keyboards, and he goes, "Hey, if you need a key, yes, I do." So he's like, "All right, count me in." Devin, uh, I had talked to Michael, and he said he was moving from Florida to Nashville. So I said to Michael, like, "Hey, dude, well, we're going to be off next year. Like, I don't know where your head is at, and I don't want to insult you, uh, but like I'm going to be doing some shows next year. I can't pay you Daisy's money, but so he's like, yeah, whatever, dude, count me in. So I sent him the record. He listened to it and he's like, fuck, I love this record, bro. Count me in. All right. So now I got Devin and Paul. Jeremy Asbrock, my guitar player who played on the Live 94 album. I just actually, there you go.
There you
Yep.
go.
I contacted Jeremy because obviously Ace Frehley passing. Jeremy was playing with him. And I was just like, hey, dude, sorry to hear about Ace and yada, yada, yada. And he's like, yeah, man, it sucks. Like, I said, well, listen, I don't know if you're up for it or not, or if you're even thinking about it at this point, but I'm going to be doing some shows. Do you want it? He goes, I'm in. So I sent him the record. He listened to it. He called me up. He goes, Crab, this might be the best fucking thing you've ever done in your life. Like, I'm so happy for you. Yes. Now, I was going to have my son play drums, but like the 11th hour, my kid calls and he goes, hey, Dad, he's been doing some session work and shows with a kind of a metal band from California called Steppa. So he called me. He goes, hey, Dad, I don't want you to think that I don't want to hang out with you, but I think I'd rather focus on this Steppa stuff. And if you can find somebody that's more like in your age group to do your thing, but if you need a drummer to do a few shows, call me, whatever. Okay, cool, awesome, kid, no worries. So I'm telling Devin, yeah, Ian's gonna go do Steppa. Well, unbeknownst to me, like when Michael would come up to look for homes in Nashville from Florida, he'd come up with his wife and his kid, and they would stay at Troy Lucketta's house. So he goes, well, dude, he goes, Troy's heard the whole record, bro. He fucking loves it. I'm pretty sure he'll do it. So I called Troy, and before I could even go, hey, dude, he goes, count me in, bro. And he goes, I fucking love your record. And so I'm sitting there, I'm talking to my manager. I go, dude, I got a killer band, bro. It's me, Michael Devin, Troy Luccketta, Jeremy Asbrock, and Paul Taylor. And so I'm telling my manager, and then literally my manager called me back like 2 days later. He goes, well, if you're up for it, Marty wants to come and play with you as well. And I go, do him. He goes, he just wants to play guitar, dude. He said he loves the record, had a great time with you, and he wants to go tour with you. And I go, fuck, okay, even better. So like the whole time we were driving around Europe, we were just fucking with each other, joking around, making jokes, quoting movie quotes. Like if I hear one more time, Marty, Marty was imitating Fat Bastard from Austin Powers, and it was like he'd just walk up to the microphone and go, I got a crap on deck that could choke a donkey. You know what I mean? So we were just pissing ourselves laughing the whole fucking time. So again, effortless. I feel blessed. I can't thank the universe enough for everything that's going on with me right now. It's awesome.
So the focus, of course, is on the on New Day and touring and support for 2026. And is that kind of the current plan?
Well, to be honest with
Yep.
you, there's a lot of fans out there, like especially in Europe. The Scream, Mötley, we never played outside of America. We did one. The Scream did one show in London at a place called the Astoria Theater, but that was it. Um, there's sections of Canada that now I think I just did my first show when we talked the last time
Yes.
with the Dead Daisies in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
I had never played there. So the
Even though
cool
you lived
thing
here.
about exactly the cool thing about it is even the Scream, Union, Motley, none of that stuff has been played live before in Vancouver or a lot of places in America and overseas. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a few Scream songs, a few Union songs, a Motley song or two. There you go. And it's just a little bit of everything. And then, the cool thing about this band is I could sit there and go, "Hey guys, let's do Maybe I'm a Leo by Deep Purple." Okay. And we'll learn it, at sound check and then just play it. Whatever. It's awesome.
Lots of feel going on. Well, then that gets me. I need to ask then about then. So your status in the Daisies then is just kind of where it's at, or
No, I mean, as far as I know, we've got a year off, which I know a lot of people are now like going, what is going on with this show that they're doing? And I'm like, couldn't tell you, don't know. All I was told was we're taking a year off. Now, I don't know after that if they're moving forward with Glenn. Couldn't tell you. Don't know. Haven't talked to anybody. I'm actually Doug and I were just texting prior to this conversation, so I'll give Doug a call, but I couldn't tell you. And so right now I'm focused on this record, and I have no idea why the Dead Daisies are doing a show with Glenn in Chicago. Couldn't tell you.
confusion? But yourself, you'll be doing some awesome shows yourself in May, and in July you're going to be on the road with Tom Keifer. That's
Yes.
an awesome opportunity. You'll be getting your music in front of a lot of awesome people, and I'm sure Tom's a good time.
I've known Tom Keifer since 1977. We grew up in Philadelphia together, so and it was funny. Like I think I told you, I'm in my wife's hair salon. Tom and Savannah come here once a month or whatever when they're home, and they get their hair cut. My wife cuts their hair and all that shit. But um, so when I was working on this record, he was sitting here. He's like, "Hey, crap, what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm just working on my new record." "Oh, cool. Can I hear it?" "Yeah, sure, dude." So I played him a bunch of stuff, and when New Day came out, I sent it to Tom and Savannah, and Savannah sent a message to my wife, and she goes, "Holy shit, Tom and I cannot stop listening to this song, New Day. It's fucking awesome." And well, I'm like, "You're going on tour." So yeah, so Tom, I'm very grateful to him. He's done this a few times in my career where he's taken me on tour, and I appreciate it. So I'm very excited. Uh, come, I think May 5th is our first show. And we've got a bunch of dates with him in May and a bunch of dates with him in July. And once again, I am playing the Ryman Theater with Tom Keifer. So I'm very excited about that.
No, that's a huge deal, and it'll be nice that the album will be out.
Yes,
huge,
finally.
huge
Yeah.
deal. That's now you're also going to be playing the Frontiers Rock Festival, correct?
Yep. That is May
April
3rd.
May 3rd. Okay,
Yeah.
I
We're
believe
doing
the final of the 3 days. I believe.
I think it's May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I could
Yeah,
be
I
wrong.
think you're right. Yeah.
But yeah, we're playing, I believe, with Striper, and can't remember who else is on the bill, but it's going to be interesting because we're flying over there for literally like 4 or 5 shows, ending with that. So we play the 3rd. On the 4th, we get on a plane in Milan. We fly to Newark, New Jersey. I'm going to meet my motorhome in a trailer, and then we are going to start on May 5th with Tom. So it should be we should be very tired when we get there.
I'd be surprised if you weren't. I'd almost be sad if you weren't. Now, a couple last questions before we get rolling. I wanted to ask you, just a couple days ago, we lost Phil Campbell from Motorhead. Did you
Yeah, it
know
sucks.
Phil? Did you have any interactions with Phil?
I did not. I I met Phil very briefly, but it was like, oh, hey, dude, whatever kind of a thing. I knew Mickey, and I'd met Lemmy a few times. Um, but it's sad, man. Well, and the only positive about it is that him and Lemmy now are causing all kind of ruckus up in.
Yeah.
So for that part, I'm happy, but it sucks, man. And it's weird. I keep saying it. You know, all these guys that we grew up listening to, they're getting up there, and we're gonna start losing them. And like I said, we already lost Bowie, Prince. Some great ones, and it's unfortunate. It's life, but all of our heroes are going to start tapping out one by one. So it sucks. It's funny. The first person I thought of when I read about Phil's passing, and even when Lemmy passed, was my buddy Chuck Garrick. Chuck is a huge Motorhead fan, and even when we would do the ESP shows, we we would play a couple Motorhead songs, and he would sing that stuff. And so he was the first person I thought of. But yeah, we're losing him, buddy. It sucks.
It totally sucks. Well, let's get a little cheerful here. I'm going to wrap up with just some random questions, some different ones that are really deep and require deep, deep thought on different
Oh
stages.
God.
You ready? These are just kind of either ors, or you can say you're tapping out as well. We'll start with
Okay.
an easy one here. Hopefully this isn't easy. Well, actually, this isn't easy at all. John Lennon or Paul McCartney?
Wow. I have to go with now. Listen, I love the Beatles. They were equally that to me is yin and yang. I think John Lennon was the attitude, but when it comes to just musicianship, talent, I got to go with McCartney. Do you know what I mean?
That's fair.
They obviously worked well together because I think, like I said, Lennon was the attitude, but McCartney was the musicianship. You know what I mean?
More the vision, more the
Ringo
composer.
said, if it was, yeah, but even I just saw that documentary not long ago where Ringo absolutely said, if it wasn't for Paul, we probably wouldn't have done like the last 3 or 4 records because we were just lazy. We were just enjoying the fruits of our labor, and we were all smoking weed and just kind of doing whatever. And Paul was the one that was calling us like, hey, I got this idea. Let's get in the studio. Hey, let's get in the studio. Let's get in the studio. So I got to go with McCartney.
That's fair. How about John Fogerty or Bob Seger? If you had to choose.
Wow, that's a hard one, dude. Because I fucking cherish both of them. I'm just gonna tap out on that one
That's fair.
because it's John. I will say that John Fogerty was really like a voice in the '60s anti-war movement, uh, and God, what a band! And then you have Bob Seger, was probably one of the first artists I ever saw in my life, and those two guys is what I had in mind when I really did this record. Because again, the thing that I don't like about the music industry nowadays is everybody, as soon as you put a song out, everybody wants to figure out what box it goes into. And both John Fogerty and Bob Seger established themselves in a manner where it's like, okay, what are they? Are they rock? Are they country? Are they soul? Are they Americana? Like there were so many different things that they did. And that was the thing that I wanted this record that I just did. So the entire time I was doing this record, I was listening to Creedence and Bob Seger. So that one, I'm totally going to have to tap out on. I cannot give you an answer for that.
Enough. You may tap out in the next one as well. Thin Lizzy or UFO?
I'm going to go with Thin Lizzy. Because to me, Phil Lynott was a poet, Lynott, however you want to say it. But the one thing, and again, one of the things that I think they really uh, like trademarked, like their sound was the harmony guitar solos. And if you actually listen to New Day, there's, it's very Beatlesque. It's got this poppy little thing. And then all of a sudden it kind of goes into this harmony guitar part. And the whole time we were doing it, Marty and I were like, oh, dude, this is killer. It sounds like Thin Lizzy. It's got like this Thin Lizzy part. And then it goes into an Aerosmith part. So I lean a little more towards Thin Lizzy because of the dual guitar work. And God, the guitar players they had, Scott Gorham, um, Brian Robertson, Robbo, Gary Moore.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah, dude. It's like, fuck. So
John Sykes.
Yeah, John Sykes, Eric Bell.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go Thin Lizzy on that one.
Okay, better debut album. The debut Boston or the debut Van Halen? Boston or Van Halen?
God. Well, that's another tough one, dude, because I had them both.
Yeah. You're welcome to tap out.
I may have to, only because I believe, if memory, I could be wrong on this, but the Boston record actually sold more than the Van Halen record did. But I just remember every guitar player on earth hearing that Van Halen record going, what the fuck is this guy doing? So that's kind of and I saw both bands first tour. I'm gonna have to tap out on that. I can't, because there's
all good.
That could go either way depending on which way the wind is blowing.
The Midnight Special or the Old Grey Whistle Test? Preference in broadcast?
I'm gonna give you a third one.
Okay, go for it.
Don Kirshner's rock concert.
Good call. Yeah, I was thinking of sliding out.
Yeah, that one was the one that I discovered. Actually, Aerosmith I discovered on Midnight Special. But Don Kirshner's was the one that I was like, I got turned on to Kansas. And that was the one, like Saturday nights, man, me and my friends, we'd go steal a couple beers, roll a joint, and we'd just meet at my friend Ricky's house, and we'd sit there at, midnight till like 1 or 2 and just sit there and watch all this stuff. And I believe the Don Kirshner's rock concert, they did a recap of the original Cal Jam in '74. So they did an extra long broadcast one weekend, and just sitting there watching Sabbath and Deep Purple and Black Oak, Arkansas, like all these great bands. We were like, fuck yeah, dude, pass the joint, whatever. So I didn't know about the Old Grey Whistle Test until I became an artist. So I'll say Midnight Special over the Old Grey Whistle Test, but I like Don Kirshner's over even the Midnight Special.
Awesome. Mustang or Camaro?
I'm going to have to go with 68 Fastback Mustang.
Awesome. Okay, we're winding down here. Jennifer Marlowe or Bailey Quarters?
I have no idea who either one of them are.
WKRP in Cincinnati. Did you ever watch that show? Yeah. Jennifer Marlowe, Lonnie Anderson. or
Yeah. Okay.
orders Jan Smithers?
I'm gonna go with Jan Smithers. She looked like the kinky librarian type, smack her on the ass and an animal would come out.
Denim or leather?
Uh, I'm gonna tap out on that one too because I'll wear leather pants with a denim jacket. Boom. How about that?
Toast or biscuit?
I'll go biscuit.
Okay, final one here. If you're down in a dark alley, who do you want by your side? Do you want Mr. T or Mr. Rogers?
Oh, that's easy, Mr. Rogers. I'll toss him to the guy with the gun, and while I'm running my ass off out of the alley, so I use him as bait.
Well, John, I appreciate your time so much today. This was awesome to catch up. I'm so excited for you and the rest of the band for the release of New Day on April the 24th on Frontiers Music. I'll have links at the end of the video for people that want to pre-order. You can go to differentstagesradio.com right now and pre-order the album. Look forward to John playing the Frontiers Rock Festival on May the 3rd. He'll be on tour in May in support with Tom Keifer, as well in July with Tom Keifer. Lots going on in John Corabi land. And the things you're talking about, I've never done shows performing Scream stuff and Union and Mötley. If that ferments into something, I see road trips coming. That will be a huge deal. So, Corabi, thanks for being a part again of Different Stages Radio.
Thanks for having me, buddy. And how about we not do road shows or road trips? How about if I just get my sorry ass up to Vancouver? That would be even better.
This is Different Stages Radio.
There you go, buddy. Different Stages Radio. Keep it loud. Waving the flag.